Unless you've been living under a rock, you will have seen that Alex Hormozi recently launched his $100 million Money Models book over the series of 3 days, and he made over $100 million. We're going to be breaking down exactly what made this campaign so successful. It wasn't the emails or the volume of content. The $100 million Money Models campaign started years before. What marketing psychology did he understand that most people miss? Now, throughout this video, I want you to understand that you don't need millions of dollars, fancy websites, amazing content, because the fact of the matter is your brand is not your website, your logos, your colors, or any of that stuff, but it's actually something else. And so that's exactly what we're going to dive into and share in this video. We're going to be breaking it down so you can emulate the essence of what he achieved without spending thousands of dollars paying fancy gurus, buying different courses, or even buying Alex Hormozi's $6,000 book stack. Now, the first time I was ever introduced to Alex Hormozi was when he launched a YouTube video where he was actually presenting on stage. And he started the video by saying, "Hello, I'm Alex Hormozi, founder of acquisition.com, and I have absolutely nothing to sell you." At the time when this was happening, you had every single person you could possibly imagine trying to sell you everything under the sun. And the moment Alex Hormozi actually opened with that and said, "Look, I got nothing to sell you, but here's just a hell of a lot of value that you can completely take for free," he immediately differentiated himself from the majority of the market. And so just bear that in mind as we move into the next stage, and you'll see how the dots start connecting. Now, building on this, a few months after I discovered him on YouTube, he launched a book called $100 Million Offers. And alongside that, a free course on his website breaking down exactly the details of what the book included. Now, of someone who's invested tens of thousands of dollars in courses, when I saw the course that he put out for free, my mind was blown at the value that he was delivering. And so what I started to do then after going through the $100 Million Offers book is I did a little bit of digging. I wanted to see where the hell did this guy come from. And so I found out he was mentored by Russell Brunson, the co-founder of ClickFunnels and somewhat of an OG in the online marketing space. And Russell Brunson is famous for inventing the perfect webinar structure. It wasn't long after he released the $100 Million Offers book that he released his second book, $100 million leads. And so the way that he did it was by executing a webinar launch. And so Alex Hormozi went through the perfect webinar formula. So he showed the components of what he was selling, and he then proceeded to follow Russell Brunson's guidance to a T, which actually meant showing the total value of the offer and giving a discount to people who attended live. He gave the first discount, which was just under $5,000. And then on the next slide, he actually reduced it even more. So giving people, what looked like an insane offer. And then what basically followed from this is something that's going to be etched into marketing history.
I'm not going to ask for $12,076, even though it'd be totally reasonable and a bargain. I'm not going to ask for $4,997. I'm not even going to ask for $2,997. I'm going to give you access to everything we talked about today for a single payment of It's free. I love you guys.
On this day, he sacrificed millions, and it was all part of his multi-year strategy leading up to the $100 million Money Models launch that we're about to get into. We're gonna break that down, and that's going to reveal the essence of actually what made this operation work in the first place. A few months leading up to the actual launch, Alex Hormozi started posting and publishing campaign videos, content. He went onto podcasts, he had emails, and literally, it would have been impossible not to hear about this launch unless you were living under a rock. Now, all of this traffic was being funneled to a simple webinar registration page. And so what he did on this registration page was really, really smart. He wasn't just promising access to a webinar, which is what most people do. He built up a huge amount of perceived value around what people were actually going to get for free by visiting and joining the webinar. He was offering free gifts, bonuses, and telling people that he was working on something for the last few years that literally no one has any idea of what it was going to be, and that he was going to be announcing it live on that webinar. What I noticed when I first registered was this was slightly different to things Hormozi had done in the past. Now, if you remember, his whole thing was, hey, I'm Alex Hormozi and I've got nothing to sell you. But for the first time, I actually saw after I registered that he was offering an upsell into a VIP ticket, which meant that you would get a physical copy of the book, plus you would get a bunch of bonus resources and access to school, which Alex Hormozi is an investor of. If you were like me, I actually didn't buy the VIP book right off the bat. So I actually just clicked, nope, I'm good for now. And I was then sent to the attendance page where you basically watched a video of Alex Hormozi just hyping up what was going to happen on the event. As soon as I logged out of that, I was then hit and bombarded by what seemed like hundreds of emails over the coming weeks in the lead up to the webinar. So if you had ever worried or concerned yourself about marketing too hard or trying to sell yourself too hard, take this as a lesson that if you are confident in what you're selling, there is no too much. He was sending emails on a daily basis. He was also sending text messages. And for some people in the United States, they were actually getting physical posts and flyers delivered to their homes. And then came the big day, launch day. And so he hosted this live on YouTube. So even if you didn't go through the webinar registration, this still would have popped up on your feed. The whole event was literally at like 1 a.m. for me in the middle of the night. So I didn't actually attend live, but when I logged into YouTube the next day, I saw a 9-hour recording of the event. And at that point, there was around 1 million views, which is just, completely insane. So I clicked into the video and I started watching, and Alex walked onto stage as he does. One thing that actually stood out to me was that he was a little bit nervous. And to me, I was actually like, you know what? It's really cool to see a human part of him, because obviously this was a big deal for him. He had spent millions of dollars and actually spent the last 3 years building up to this one event. So obviously he's going to be feeling a little bit of nerves, but that didn't detract from his ability to just follow through with it. He then proceeded to go through the perfect webinar formula the same way he did before. He told backstories, he connected to people's pains, and then he proceeded to go through and actually present the offer. Now, bear in mind, this is across a 9-hour period, but eventually when he got to the offer, differently from last time, he actually had something to sell this time. He shared the link. People then flooded to the sales page where they were met by 2 offers, all right? And so you can see here highlighted in green, the upsell was highlighted, and this included all of the bonuses that he said, which was 12 playbooks, virtual implementation workshop, lifetime access to his new AI chatbot, $100 million money models book, which was a hardback, and then a redemption code for just under 200 physical copies. And so that was literally just for under $6,000. So you had 2 options to buy that or just buy the hardback cover, which was $29.99 USD. So to most people, when you see like, why the hell would he want to include 200 books to give away, for free? What actually was happening was it became a free marketing resource, because when you logged into X, you saw people actually giving away the books that they had as lead magnets themselves, and almost signaling to people, that they had enough money to drop on a $6,000 bundle from Alex Hormozi. So it actually became a bit of a status symbol for people, and Alex Hormozi was playing into that, which actually ended up resulting in amplified reach of his launch. Now, if you were one of the people to buy the $6,000 bundle, you were then met by, guess what? Another upsell. To actually take the 200 books and make that 800 books that you'd be able to give away for free, and get access to his private mastermind school community for 6 months. And that was a total of about $18,000 extra. Now, in classic Alex Hormozi fashion, it didn't stop there. There were actually reports of people buying that and then being sent to another upsell for $100K to get 4,000 books plus direct access to Alex Hormozi himself. Now, obviously, if you had said no at that point, like any sane human being would, you would then have gone to a thank you page where you would get another video and access to the bundle that you just bought. And just to show the absolute insanity of the system, if you said no or if you said yes to one of these offers, you still would be sent to the ultimate downsell, which was school access for 90 days. Now, to me, this sounds kind of ridiculous. At this point, he'd made millions throughout the webinar. Now, the reason he did that was he actually teaches in his book that you always want to turn a no into a yes. And so he says and teaches that you don't want to go into an engagement and get the person to walk away with not committing to anything. And so in a way, this was the ultimate close to the webinar, because the majority of people would have actually, if they said no to the books, they would have jumped into the 90-day free trial and the $9 continuation of school, which is a little bit of a no-brainer anyway. So now the dust has settled, the numbers are in, and he made over $100 million in sales. You might be thinking, how the hell can I implement this in my own business and what I'm doing? While a lot of people will look at this campaign and see amazing funnels, brilliant copywriting, incredible emails and marketing materials, none of that actually was the key ingredient to the success of this campaign. What actually was the secret sauce was the fact that over the last 3 years, he had been building an incredible reputation. One that was built on an immense amount of trust that was developed over years and years of teaching everything he knows for free. If you think about the fact that Alex has probably given away $600K to $1 million worth, if not more, free value, asking for a 6K bundle now would have actually seemed like a bit of a no-brainer to a lot of people. One thing that you can do, and obviously you might not have millions of dollars of resources and you might actually need to start making money quickly, is to understand that the best thing that you can do is focus on giving away as much good stuff and generating this invisible force of goodwill, because it's going to make your job of sales so much easier. That means publishing your best content and your best ideas onto platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and wherever else you can get them. The second part is to actually develop a free lead magnet that helps them solve their most immediate problem. And remember, you can use your lead magnet the same way Alex did with the school community offer, by turning a no to a yes. So if someone says no to you on a sales call, offer them your free lead magnet. It's a way that you can keep them in the system and you can keep building trust with them in the long term. And the third and most important point is to actually have a solid marketing strategy. If you have the best product in the world, it does not matter if no one knows about it. Someone like Alex Hormozi obviously has a whole team and a huge budget to basically execute his marketing. And he's also a pro at it. But if you're someone who's a solo operator and you're trying to navigate the world of social media on your own and you feel confused as to what to do, and maybe you feel burnt out at the thought of social media, or maybe you don't even feel confident enough to communicate your value to the world, then check out the link in the description. All right, my friend, I'll see you on the next one.